Hey guys, it's D3 Maniac, and welcome back to my series on speedrunning Descent 3. In this video, we'll be going over some stuff that I missed in the last video, as well as some basic concepts about robots and cutscenes. So, for stuff that I missed in the last video, the first thing is a setting. It's in the general settings. It's called keyboard ramping. And you're going to want to have this turned all the way down. What keyboard ramping does is if you have it turned on, it will, when you press a key, it will not start at 100% of that key. It's a little hard to explain, but basically, like, if you're moving forward, it'll start you moving forward slowly and then have you accelerate to full speed. But for speedruns, we want to go at full speed 100% of the time. So just turn keyboard ramping down to 0 and it'll solve that issue. So the other thing that I missed in the first video is about afterburner management. I mentioned that you want to keep the number above 85, but generally you just want to keep it above 90 to be safe. And the other thing, you don't want the number to get all the way back to 100. If the red number gets up to 100, your screen will start shaking every time you use the afterburner, and that's not only annoying, but it means that you could get more out of each of your afterburner bursts. You can let your afterburner discharge more and let it recharge less. And keeping the number below 100 and above 90 means you're using your afterburner optimally and using it as much as possible and getting the maximum speed out of it. So that's generally what you want to do with your afterburner. On to robots. Robots are obviously your main enemy in this game. But you don't have to kill most robots to beat the game. So if you don't have to kill a robot, you generally just should go around it, not bother it. For example, these first two robots in the game, right here, they're not blocking your way, just go past them. If you can't go past a robot, if a robot is blocking your way, there are 3 things you can do. You can try to go around the robot, but if you can't, like this guy, there's not room for me to go around him. You can either kill him or you can nudge past him. And believe it or not, it's faster to nudge past the robots than to kill them. For 2 reasons. The first is when you're flying fast and tricording and using your afterburner, you're not facing forward. So you have to come out of your tricord in order to shoot at a robot that's in your way. And that messes up your movement and it means you're not going as fast as you potentially could. The second reason is because the reason you're killing the robot is to get it out of your way. And some robots, when you deal fatal damage to them, like that robot I've dealt fatal damage to, but he's not dying. That guy did. Some robots have like a 50-50 chance to either die instantly when you deal fatal damage to them or like wallow in their sorrow for a little bit. And when they're alive, you can nudge them out of their way, like I did to this guy. While the robots are wallowing in their sorrow, you can't nudge them out of their way. So for some robots, there's a 50-50 chance that if you try to kill them, you'll just have to wait 5 seconds for them to slowly die. And that is annoying. So for those robots, you should definitely just nudge past them instead of trying to kill them. But by far the fastest way to get around a robot is to go around it. So like this guy is on the side of the tunnel, you can just fly around the other side of the tunnel. That is the fastest way to go around robots. Some robots, you can make them move over to the side of a tunnel. Like, I'll save the game here. There's a robot coming up that's right in the middle of a tunnel, right there. And he's really annoying to get around. But what you can do is you can make some noise and make him move out of the center of that tunnel. So like I'm going to shoot some shots over here, and now he's on the side of the tunnel and he's much easier to get around. The way that I did that made it a little hard to see, so we'll do it again. Shooting some shots, and now he's over on the side of the tunnel and it's easier to get around. So that is a little bit of robot manipulation, and there's some really cool instances of that throughout the run, but this is one of the first ones. And I'll get to more of that when I do my level-specific videos. But last thing about robots, if the robots don't have a chance of wallowing in their sorrow, then it's just as fast to kill them, usually. So like these guys, they only take a couple shots. Well, if I can hit them. And every time you do fatal damage to them, they die instantly. So if it's convenient, those guys are okay to kill. But just for the robots that either like take a lot of hits, or they don't always die instantly, as weird as that sounds, it's best to just nudge past them. Alright, last thing I want to talk about in this video is cutscenes. And believe it or not, this is a pretty big issue in this game. Cutscenes take a long time, and most of them can't be skipped. There are some that you can do, like skip a little bit of them. The cutscenes at the beginnings of levels are examples of this. I mentioned this in my past video. If you mash buttons at the beginning of a level, it'll jump the camera to your ship as soon as possible. So you should do that at the beginning of every single level in this game. And it saves minutes throughout the run. So there are three types of cutscenes. I've already talked about cutscenes at the beginnings of levels. There's also cutscenes at the ends of levels. And these you can't skip. But if a cutscene has more than one scene at the end of a level, like if it has a shot of your ship and then a shot of something else and then another shot of your ship, you can skip the cutscene so it only plays the last scene. And the way that you do this is you start the cutscene while dead. Whoops. As weird as that sounds, it saves a couple minutes throughout the run. There are only two levels you can do this in, level 2 and level 6, because those are the only levels that you can be dead while the cutscene starts. So in this level, I'll show you what happens if I don't skip the cutscene first. Hit the switch, and that ends the level. And this ship flies in the prison facility and picks up Dr. Schweitzer and blah 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 plot that we don't care about. This is a speedrun. And that takes like a minute and 15 seconds or something. And you see how it faded out and then faded to another shot. That's what I mean by multiple scenes. So what we can do is we can wait for the level to load, deal some damage to ourselves. We want to get to about 20 or a little less. Trigger the end of the level, die, and then it skips to the very last scene of this cutscene where we're just flying off into the distance. And that saves about a minute in this level, and maybe 45 seconds if you do it in level 6 after you kill the boss of that level. So those two tricks are pretty important. And so those are the first two types of cutscenes, at the beginnings of levels and at the ends of levels. The third type of cutscene is in the middle of a level. These ones are interesting. You can use the same trick as the ones for the ends of levels. You start the cutscene while dead, but instead of it skipping you to the last scene of the cutscene, what it does is it allows you to respawn while the cutscene is still going on. So right now I have the data cartridge planted at the end of level 3, about to fight the boss, hit the switch, and we go into the boss's opening cutscene where he activates and looks all cool and gets ready to fight us. But what we can do is, if we start that cutscene while dead, we can respawn while the cutscene is still happening and kill the boss while he still thinks he's in the cutscene. So the camera gets all weird when you do this. We activated the cutscene, killed ourselves. Now we go into the room where the boss is and deal fatal damage to him while he's still in the cutscene. And once he finishes his animation, he'll just go straight to his death animation, since we've already dealt fatal damage to him. See, now he's dead. And we can pick up the data cartridge, which is the objective of this level, and fly on out. And that saves a bunch of time and a bunch of hassle, because that boss fight is super inconsistent. So that's an example of a mid-level cutscene that you can skip. You can skip the final boss this way too. That's one of my favorite tricks in the run. And there are a couple smaller skips that you can do throughout the run around the same concept. But that about wraps it up for this time, and I think next time we're finally ready to get into the individual level speedruns where I show off level specific tricks and how to put together movement and all these concepts that I've been talking about into a route for a speedrun. So I'll see you next time with that, and thanks for watching.